Yeah,
conservative camouflage gun tote. What happened?
at this point, I'm concerned that I have a bunch of conservative camouflage wearing gun toters that have some things that they would like to be able to say to me. I keep getting these friend requests from these people. I don't know them. We have no mutual friends. Their pages aren't fake because they have like a lot of friends and they constantly update. I just got one just within the past couple of minutes, a friend request from someone. And I know that people can see the things that I post because my page is public.
Oh, and they want to tell you off, you think?
Yeah, this is what I don't know. I never accept them because I don't know them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just got one just now, and I was just scrolling through his page, and I'm like, oh, so this guy is active. He has friends. He just posted recently. He's got a long history of posts, and I'm like, oh, why would he want to randomly friend request me? It must be because my page is public, and he wants to have some conversations. And you know, I ignore them. Now, don't get me wrong. If I have a friend like that, or I meet someone like that, and you know, we'll talk. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have a problem, but just total strangers, you know, that's not what I'm about. Like, I'm not about to be arguing with
yeah, it's like why
total strangers because of my opinions or what have you. Like, I'm not about to.
Yeah,
there's no point in that.
That's the problem with the internet. People online think that you forget that there's like a real person at the other end of it. It's not just some sort of like bot. Even if you know they're a real person, it's like because you don't. It's weird for some reason. People online have a tendency to think that like I don't have to talk to somebody the way I would in real life when it's on the computer screen. Mostly because especially with politics, it's just like, oh, this dude's not in front of me, so I'm not going to get beat up if I mouth off to him. You know what I mean?
And see, that's the thing, because I'm never going to beat anyone up, but I'm pretty much, and I've said this before, and I preface it, like I'm not going to say anything to you online that I wouldn't say to you if we were standing in front of each other.
Well, yeah, exactly, because you're like, you know how to speak to people.
Right. And, you know, it's just, I call people on that because, you know, the whole snowflake thing. I remember I came out publicly a couple years ago and I'm like, listen, all I hear is snowflake this, all I hear is snowflake that from people that I know. And I'm not challenging anyone to a fight, but I promise you, you will never stand in front of my face and call me a snowflake. And it's because I know you. So it's like, what I'm pretty much saying is like, be who you are, even on social media. Like, don't go by this social media persona. If you feel a certain way, that's fine. But you probably shouldn't say things. And I mean, no one's going to punch you in the face. I'm not. But you probably shouldn't say things, you know, about people, about people's religion, about people's belief systems that if challenged or if in front of their face, you wouldn't say. And that's kind of what I was saying to my friends. Like, listen, guys, girls, you will never stand in front of my face and call me a snowflake. I know you. I publicly said it to everyone on Facebook because I know they will never stand in front of my face and not seriously call me a snowflake. But yet you can get on Facebook every day and call all your friends snowflakes.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely an alternate persona, you know, once you're behind that keyboard and once you can't see, you know, someone or talk to them. Like even on like a Zoom call, you wouldn't treat someone the way you would treat them on Facebook when you're just typing, you know, into your phone or into your computer.
Yep.
Right? Like you can see their face and like you put a face with the name and like there's more empathy there. You know? It really is like a lack of empathy and then just all these shows that we've gotten used to in the whole like Fox News and Crossfire way of like talking at people and debating them and getting your point across and that sort of thing.
I don't like Crossfire or those debative political shows.
A lot of it's very, you know, I mean, if you want to talk about toxic masculinity and, you know, patriarchal style interaction, that's kind of like an extreme or one version of those things. You know, like at work, when we have a group of people interacting and we notice there we go with the echo. And we noticed like maybe there's a bunch of men, maybe one woman, and the woman is like not. The woman has not been heard from for a while, right? She hasn't gotten a chance to like put her 2 cents in. It's like the men in that group have been like conditioned that if you don't yell over other people, you're not going to get your point across, right? And so everyone is kind of doing that, yelling to get their point across. But chances are like the woman in that group, like we have to actually step back for a second and say, hey, like let's make sure this person is able to speak. This person's not being heard from. Sometimes folks will do it themselves and be like, hey, like I haven't spoken in a while, but maybe they'll call out the group and be like, this is kind of like fucked up. Like no one is giving a woman in the group the chance to speak. But it's like a dynamic that we built over the years where we just like developed this way of like dealing with each other where like in order to be heard, like you yell over other people. And then like in order to deconstruct someone's argument, I don't know if at some point we just get like frustrated with people, but then like the name calling, goes in there, like you said, whether it's snowflake or something worse, people just start dealing with each other in a negative way.
It seems like you've never watched Nancy Grace.
I've heard the name. Is she like a bigger lady?
I mean, you only really see her face and like her upper body on her show.
Is she a conservative?
I would best guess. I would say yes.
I think I know who you're talking about.
She's like a former prosecutor who like weighs in on legal subjects.
Yep.
Yeah.
On usually murder cases, the popular ones of the day.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really let other people talk if their opinions differ from hers.
And do you know what channel is this? Is she on?
What channel did Nancy Grace used to come on? Court TV.
Yeah.
Court TV. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean that's.
I hate to segue, but I want to segue.
Okay.
So the first and most important perspective I want is Sam's perspective on the Nick Cannon situation.
All right. Oh my God. Talking about Nick Cannon. Well, first of all, I don't know where that came from, but I mean him. But then I don't know these people privately, so.
Well, let me ask you. Let me kind of steer this, not to,
Yeah.
How did you feel?
How did I feel? I'm okay. Again, this is just speculation because I don't know him. When I hear somebody like him saying something like that, because he's pretty young, I think he may be a little bit younger than I am.
Wait, can we step back and say something like what? Can we talk about can we define what we're talking about?
Oh, what he said? Sure.
Yeah.
Because I think he made comments about, like, I think he was like echoing. So I think it was brought up when wasn't he talking about? Yes, and from Public Enemy, and when he made comments about Jews controlling the media, and then Nick Cannon said, "Well, actually, he's right. That is what they said. He's like, that's true. Jews do control the media." I think he likened it to like the Rothschilds or something like that. And then he said that like black people are like the real Hebrews.
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if that's exactly what he said, but I think that's what he was saying. I get the feeling that it was something that he had been led into believing recently. It seems like his life. I don't, again, I don't know him personally. And of all the times to call Mariah Carey, it would be right now. I don't know her, but sadly, was I upset that he said that? Yeah, I was. But am I surprised? No, because it's not. Unfortunately, that view is not as uncommon as as some people think. I think what frustrates me about that is the divide that's the gulf that's widened between the Jewish community and the Black community in the past 50 years, because we used to be so tight. And in many ways we still are, but there's just been a widening of that bridge. Jewish people made up 2% of the, American population, but like half of the civil rights lawyers are Jewish. Like that goes like a long way. I mean, back then, especially people who had just escaped Europe saw how like Black people were being treated in America and was just like, we just got away from this. We can't let this happen again.
Okay, so just to interject really quick, and if you don't mind, if you do, then I won't. But I want to read what Nick Cannon said.
Please do.
All right. So in his podcast, Nick and Richard, or Professor Griff, the former hip-hop public enemy member, discussed racial bias. He and Professor Griff said that Black people are the true Hebrews and that Jews have usurped their identity. Cannon said, when we are the same people who they want to be, that's our birthright. We are the true Hebrews. The rapper then discussed skin color and claimed that people without dark skin live in fear. And I'm going to say this carefully. He begins to allege that people who lack sufficient melanin are a little less. Those with dark skin have a deficiency that historically forced them, those without dark skin have a deficiency that historically forced them to act out of fear and commit acts of violence to survive, he said. They had to be savages, Nick said, adding that he was referring to Jewish people, white people, Europeans, among others.
Oh my God, that's way deeper than even I realized. That's just intense hatred. Like that's just bigotry, straight up. Like I don't even know what else to say. There's like if you put that on the reverse, if you reverse that.
Now I'm going to add to it because he goes on to describe, because I actually listened to the podcast. So he goes on to describe this situation where that because of lack of melanin, the groups that he mentioned were, and he was, I think he was, broadly speaking about white people, but he included Jews, Europeans, Jewish people, and so I can't discount what he was, he melted them into one group, and he was saying that throughout history, their lack of melanin as worked as a deficiency, and it caused them that Black people were like the kings, the rulers, and their lack of deficiency caused them. So on some level, he said that they are more animalistic than cultures with melanin, and it caused them to, I'm paraphrasing, to kind of have to rise up and usurp and take from these cultures. And it's evidence throughout history that this is what it was kind of weird listening to him say it, because it seemed very, at least the way he described it, seemed very pseudo. You'd have to watch the video, but that's pretty much what he was saying, is that it caused them to be savages or more animal than people with melanin, and that as a result, because they were afraid that, I guess the best way I can put it, and I'm paraphrasing, is that the fear is that they would cease to exist. So they acted in ways in order to ensure their continued existence by taking from melanated people, by usurping power from melanated people. And kind of, I'm paraphrasing it, but that's kind of what he was pretty much, him and Professor Griff were pretty much suggesting.
Okay, right? This whole idea that yeah, okay, wow, okay. I mean, there are I mean, as with all racist and bigoted arguments, there are so many holes that could be easily poked through that are just ridiculous. Number one, I didn't hear anything about the Ethiopian Jews mentioned in there, so because they didn't have much to say about that. Number two, I guess they're not going to deal with the fact that, like, the natural African kings that they're talking about, many of them owned slaves for centuries. Like, they own each other privately. Like, they just I got a ton of feedback. Did you hear that?
Yeah, feedback's bad.
That's me.
Okay. So these issue screens for my phone.
So I can get this feedback issue. Okay, how are we?
I can slave me and being fine. I can hear him too. Oh, it's bad.
It's bad, yeah.
Now, how are we at now?
It's very bad-ish.
That's not on my end.
Sam, did you want to restart your computer like you did last time? We seemed to.
Oh my lord! It just happened. It just happened right as I was getting into it. Okay, so let me do that. See what happens.
Okay.
All right.
So here's what we'll do. Since you're gonna restart your computer, we're gonna just start a brand new session.
Okay, that makes sense.
And send out and have Flav send out a link so we actually have the time, so we don't, I want you to say what, I want you to, say what you feel and be able to have, get your talking points out.
This session just started though.
We've been going for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we still have 25 minutes left. I mean, we're not.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we could pick up and still have that time.
Yeah, well, we should. It might. I'm not sure. It might give us. It might pause us because there's only 2 of us right now. I'm not sure, but I still think it's not going to take. It's not going to take Sam 20 minutes to discuss how he feels about this, nor should it when there's 3 of us on.
Well, I think it should take however long Sam feels he needs to discuss it and say what he wants to say about it.
Yeah, but I mean, if he can't do it in 20, we'll just pick it back up.
Okay.
But you or I should decide whether or not we should just pause this or talk about something else completely or take advantage of the time, because I just don't know if we're still taking time away or not with the 2 of us.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can pause it for.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is I don't know if pausing it is even going to stop taking time away or not.
Yeah, but I think we should pause it just so that we stay on subject and we don't get into something else. And then.
Okay, I'm pausing now.
Okay.
So yeah, Sam, the floor is yours.
Does that include what we said? What was already said? I mean, do I have to restate that or?
I believe that's recorded. However, you can whatever you feel. You know what I mean? Like I definitely.
Thank you, Ish. By the way, is that?
Hold on a second, Sam. I lost.
Okay.
Yeah, previous statements were recorded, so no need to rehash time.
I love seeing Andy Morrison's middle finger in my face too. That's hilarious. Okay. Yeah, so no, I mean, again, but just to restate what I said right before this got cut off, there were so many holes that I could poke in that argument. Number one, the Ethiopian Jews, they never talked about that. So I'd love to hear what they feel about that. Number two, the fact that the African kings that they were talking about way back in the day, yes, sure, many, there were a lot of amazing tribal societies back then that were really sophisticated, but also like they were owned slaves. They owned each other, like they fought each other, and then they exploited each other. The winners exploited the losers. So this idea that the more melanin you have makes you more noble. Again, that's supremacy. It's literally black supremacy.
It's a good point.
And there's no, yeah. And so, and I'm against supremacy, like any humanist or any human rights activist would be against any form of supremacy in any kind. White supremacy, black supremacy, Jewish supremacy, Christian supremacy, Muslim supremacy. Like they're all bad because they all involve domination of those that are not like them. Mm-hmm. So, and whether I'm sure there was whatever Nick Cannon's emotional reasoning was for saying what he said, because it came from a place of emotion, not intellect. It's fairly obvious to me.
Hey, sorry, can I be a jerk and just? I realize it was kind of a mistake to continue without being here because I'm gonna have to be a part of the.
You can
combo.
Be a jerk, Flavy. I forgive you. But actually, before you say anything else, I really just Ish is moving again. Yay. I really just wanted to thank Ish for the opportunity to include me on this. We've never met in person, and I've only spoken to you a few times, and I'm really honored and flattered that you would include me on this, and that you really want my perspective. I feel valued and appreciated, and I want to thank you for giving me that space.
Oh, you're welcome. I do value and I appreciate you, and I certainly get your perspective, and it's important. This is a conversation, as I told Mike the other day, that cannot be had. Someone that it represents the culture, you know what I mean? And your perspective should be more important than our perspectives. You know what I mean? And I do value your perspective. I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're willing to, give as much of yourself. So thank you.
Cool. Can I just get a brief summary of what I missed in like the last minute and a half, 2 minutes? I just heard something about, the last thing I heard was white supremacy, Muslim supremacy, black supremacy, any kind of supremacy.
So what Sam made was an excellent point, that the idea that having melanin makes you uniquely better than other people is inherently black supremacy.
Okay.
Did you get that, Mike?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
No, thanks.
I think Sam is frozen.
He's moving again.
Frozen?
He's moving, but his voice is...
So yes, at this point, I made that point, and then...
You know what's happening is the powers that be don't want us to have this conversation.
I made that suggestion earlier too. I did. Yeah, I did. What's going on here? I think it's too truthful. I think it's yeah.
We're being sabotaged by whoever owns Zoom. The equivalent of whoever owns Zoom is like, nope.
Sam, can you try the trick with the video where you switch the input and output of your microphone?
Actually, to be honest, to be truthfully, I have to check out now because I have to go back to my mom's to help her. I don't know how much longer you're going to be on here, but
okay, just checking with us. Hey, just checking with us.
I will. I'll come. Yeah, so I'll make you. I'll message you all on Facebook, and if you guys are still on, I'd love to come back.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank
awesome.
you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, Emily's coming
Thank
on at
you.
4, so we'll have a super link.
Awesome, thank you both. It's finally good to see that handsome face too.
Thank you.
So
You're gonna make me blush,
I
bro.
appreciate you both. I appreciate y'all, and I thank you very much. So I will check in with you. I should be back. I hope less than an hour. I hope it should be finished. So talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. All right, that's unfortunate.
Just, save your talking points. And it's cool because I'm actually in the dark. I don't know what your talking points are. I'm so appreciative that Sam is willing to, have this conversation. So
Right.
definitely necessary. Definitely necessary. So Emily is going to come on at 4.
Right.
So what I would suggest, so that we save all of the good energy, I would suggest we just pick back up at 4.
All right, we should figure out what we want to talk about in the meantime then.
Well, we don't have to do it while we're recording.
Yeah, I know. We should, in the meantime, we should figure out. We should try to figure out what we want to talk about.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We'll definitely, you can hit pause or what have you, or